We're in the Model Y Performance, and the screen is supposed to be slightly different. But what really is different? It looks almost the same. So we're in the brand new Model Y Performance, and you can see that the screen protector is still on, and it's been driven literally like 10 miles straight from the service center to here. And there's actually a slight difference on this screen compared to the Premium, the Launch, the Standard, or pretty much any other Tesla out there in the Americas. So basically, this is actually a 16-inch screen, which is actually different. On a normal Model Y Premium, or really the other ones, they're on a 15.4 screen. And here's the difference between the two. So the other one was 1920 by 1200 resolution. This one's actually 2560 by 1440 pixels, which is actually a pretty big jump from the previous one, and which gives it a little bit like around 80% more pixels. It is 16 inches diagonal, of course. And it has more, it's basically a higher pixel density than the previous one, which makes it a little bit more crisp. And I found, and the bevel is slightly different too. If you look at this shape, it's a little bit more cornered, right, than the previous one. I think the other one was a little bit more rounded compared to the previous gen, or not even the gen, it's really the Premium one. So you can kind of see it's like sharper right there. And other than that, as far as the whole, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's different about the actual setup here. There's really not that much different, so hate to break it to you, but everything here is basically the same as our Launch Edition. But if you look at the dynamics, this is where it changes a little bit differently. So I don't have insane mode because apparently my car's not insane enough. And then even though the Launch Edition is quite fast because it has an acceleration boost, this is far faster. And then of course you have the Standard and the Sport. And I think this is all the same stuff, like Light, Standard. These are all pretty similar. But yeah, this is the big difference, right? And it says launch mode available. I mean, technically you could still launch on your other Teslas, but for those of you who don't know, you could hold the brake, then hold the accelerator, and then you release the brake pedal, and that's what a launch mode is. What's kind of fun about the like Plaid mode, or for example, the Cyber Beast mode, they have like a special thing you can go into, like, I don't know, the screen changes and it makes it a little bit more anticipating. This does not have it yet, from my understanding. Maybe they will have it. It also does not have track mode. So the Model 3 Performance has track mode, but not this one. So this is really the main difference that you'll see. One other different, all the stuff like charging is the same, autopilot and all that stuff. Trying to think if there's anything else that's different. No, that's the same. This is the other part that's different. You got the vehicle logo, which is kind of cool. Here's another cool thing about this, right? So if I go to lights and let's say I change it to blue. Okay, let's just say I change it to blue. Oops, I don't want that. And you go to display, and then you do, it changes to blue. So that's kind of neat. So whatever color you have, it will change. So let's go green now. So that's kind of a unique, anyway, you get the gist. But I like the green. That kind of looks like Green Lantern or something. But yeah, other than that, everything is the same. With that being said, we are going to install the screen protector. And I think a lot of people ask, like, why would you, you're never going to hit it. Look, I thought the same thing. And there was this one time where we had a friend accidentally slung her backpack into the corner of the screen, and then we had a screen protector actually protected it. I'm not saying like that, I mean, that happens rarely, but I think for what this costs, it's totally worth it to protect the screen. I mean, basically you're doing everything on the screen now, right? Compared to having all these buttons or all this control in the center. So this is one of your most important and valuable asset. I think if you actually have to replace it, I forget how much it is, but I think it's going to be like $2,000 or something like that. 1,200 maybe to $2,000 with labor. Although it's not difficult to replace, it's still kind of a nuisance, right? So I recommend putting a screen protector on. Our new one is slightly more expensive because it comes with a new tool, which makes it far easier to install. So we're going to go ahead and install it. So like I said, this is tempered glass. You can actually use paint protection film to install this, and I guess we could do that. However, I like the tempered glass better, to be honest. It works really well. Got good visibility. And then this thing that we're installing right now is the gloss one, not the matte, but we do have both options. But just make sure if you're buying a screen protector, whether you're buying from us or anybody else, just make sure you get the right one. If you get the 15.4 inch, it will not fit. It'll be too big, too small for this 16-inch one. So just keep that in mind, regardless of where you buy, okay? So just make sure it's specifically for the performance model. All right, so without further ado, this is my favorite part. All right, let's get this installed. First off, you got the cleaning wipes. All of it is included. And this, you just kind of release. So you're gonna go here, go to display, and you're gonna go screen clean mode. And basically just use this. Okay, and then basically you're going to use this. You also get this dust removal sticker. So you'll get a bunch of areas right here, and you can just use this adhesive to just make sure you get rid of all the dust. One other thing is to turn off your air. You just don't want, and I already did that actually. So I'm just kind of just making sure. All right, so basically we got this whole thing. This is actually for the Model Y L, which is the same as the Model Y Performance. And then you basically pull this out. And then you let it basically work itself out. All right, so once this is good, I mean, there's a couple smaller bubbles that we can actually squeegee out, like this one right here, but that's okay. You're just gonna go ahead and push this out, and then you basically dislodge this from the side, and then do your best to basically take that frame off. And then, like I said, we'll go ahead and get rid of some of the smaller bubbles. And then once you're at this point, and voila. Like I said, if you have some of the smaller ones. We used to have a different one, but I think this is the easiest way to do it. So now it's protected. Then once you're done, you basically hold to exit. And look at that. So one of the things that we notice is that, I don't know if it's because of higher pixel density, but we feel like this is less of an issue with the glare. I think it's it feels like it's brighter. I can't really confirm that, and I haven't spent enough time with it. But we do have two different versions. One is gloss and one is matte. Matte is, it basically like diffuses a little bit, makes it a little bit flatter, whereas gloss, it'll, you know, it does increase a little bit of the glare, just a little bit. But it still looks very, very good. This is the most OEM look that you can get compared to, you know, matte is gonna be, you know, flattening the look. But yeah, you can see, really, really nice. You don't even notice it, and flawless install. So let us know if you have any questions in the comments below. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of difference between the two. The main thing is the dynamics, and then of course, you get an intro little Tesla logo in the beginning when you first enter the car. But that is basically what's different on the new Model Y Performance.